friends, and welcome to Sustainable Prepping, your home for fear-free emergency preparedness and a sustainable life. My name is Brecky, and today I want to give you 5 suggestions for turning your literal trash into actual treasure on your homestead and in a more sustainable lifestyle. If you're new here, I want to say a great big welcome. I am so glad you have found this slice of the internet. If you're not new, I want to say welcome back. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and to click the bell icon so you never miss one of my fear-free emergency preparedness videos. So most of us have an abundance of stuff and clutter that fills our house, and it's stuff that we end up just tossing out. But there are definitely ways that you can use your literal trash in order to help support a more sustainable lifestyle. Junk mail in particular is a major form of trash that is really hard to get rid of. I know that for us, my husband and I receive junk mail almost every single day, and even though it might be only 1 or 2 little envelopes of things, it adds up. We end up shredding it or throwing it away because otherwise it ends up accumulating and literally taking over the dining room table. Does this happen to y'all? Because it definitely happens to us. But that junk mail is a wonderful source of carbon for your homestead. If you're someone who's interested in composting or having a more sustainable lifestyle, that carbon source can absolutely be put to good work. Now, one of the things that I suggest is that you take your junk mail and you shred it. This is some of the mail that I have shredded over the last few days, and this can be used in a whole host of ways to support your sustainable lifestyle. The first way is in direct composting. You can use this on your compost pile in place of dried leaves or dried mulch if you don't have enough carbon. This is straight carbon. So as long as the mail that you are shredding and using doesn't have a ton of ink on it and doesn't have staples or plastic, you can use it directly in your compost. Another way that you can use your shredded junk mail and bills is to use it as a mulch, especially if you have small container gardening, small raised beds. You basically have a small footprint garden. You might just be getting started and you may not have a lot of money to invest in your first homestead garden. Never fear. You can use this as a base layer mulch to get you started as you work up to a larger, nicer, more expensive wood chip mulch or straw mulch or something like that. This is free, and again, as long as you're using mostly plain paper, you're not using a lot of shiny things, nothing with plastic, you're going to end up having a really great tool to help you mulch your garden. Now, one of the things you do have to be careful is that paper can hold moisture in. So if you're in a really damp environment, you might want to monitor your garden to make sure it's not getting too soggy and holding too much moisture near your plants. But if you live in a moderate area, this could be a great mulch alternative that is totally free. A third way that you can use your trash shreds, your paper shreds, is in creating food storage boxes. If you're someone who buys potatoes in bulk, or you have squash that you want to have throughout the winter, or even apples, you can create a bulk bin where you take a cardboard box or a plastic tote, you drill some holes for airflow, you put in a layer of your shredded paper just like this, you put a layer of the food that you want to store, then you add another layer, and you create this layered system. The shredded paper offers a little bit of moisture absorption in order to keep, moisture from getting onto your apples or your potatoes. If one goes bad, it kind of helps absorb any of the kind of ick and gunk. You just take it all out. You do want to check on these fruits or vegetables that you're storing in a cool, dark place, right? You want a cool, dark place, keep it out of sunlight, keep it out of heat, keep it away from vents. But this becomes a wonderful layering tool that allows you to preserve some of your fruits and vegetables, the kind that are shelf stable for long periods, aren't going to rot. It allows you to preserve them for a lot longer. So now you get to use your junk paper to preserve wonderful food, fresh eating food. These are not canned, of course, and to get another bit of use, more mileage out of what would otherwise be trash. All right, my 4th recommendation is for those of you that have pets. This could become a wonderful supplement to the bedding that you have in your pets' cages or with chickens. If you are someone who uses a lot of hay or wood chips, shavings for chickens, for small indoor animals like hamsters or guinea pigs. If you are using this kind of bedding for any of your animals, you can use this to supplement. Now, I don't think it could fully replace, just because of its absorbency level. It just doesn't have the same texture and absorbency level as something like wood shavings would. However, if you need to supplement it to stretch your wood shavings, this is a great tool to add into what you're already using. And here's the thing, it's totally free. People are sending you paper all the time. You're hopefully shredding your paper to protect your identity. So you can then use what would otherwise go into your trash and maybe your recycling and get more mileage out of it. Use it to soak up animal urine and feces, right? Use it in that way, stick it then in your compost, and now you get a 2-for-1 deal. It's great. It's so great. All right, my 5th suggestion for using your trash into treasure is, again, using these shreds. I think the shreds are the best way to go, and it's using them as fire starter. Now, if you're someone who has a pellet stove and you have the at-home pellet makers, you can actually soak this down and use this as a part of what you use to make pellets. There are some videos online that go through that, but what a great way. You're literally turning all of your trash into great fuel. But if you're somebody who doesn't have a pellet stove, like we don't have a pellet stove, one of the things that you can do is you can use this as base kindling. This can help you get a fire started, especially if you're somebody who's not as adept with building a fire. This can be a great tool to help a small fire grow, to help feed a fire as you're learning how to manipulate logs and so on and so forth. And again, this is free. You're not buying a kindling set. You're not collecting things and having them just on hand for fire starting. This is something you're going to have anyway, so you can put it to good use in the fireplace. Okay, there are some guidelines that I think are important as you are getting started with turning your shredded junk mail or bills into a useful treasure on your homestead. The first is to look at any of the ones that have a lot of this shiny stuff, a lot of the print and color like this. This one's not as bad, but there are some that are all colored. I got one last week that was just totally black, okay? That's a ton of ink. And if it has this glossy kind of texture, you don't want to use that. That's got a ton of ink on it. It's not going to break down appropriately. You don't know what kind of chemicals are being used, so avoid that in your soil. Likewise, if you're shredding your identity documents, if you're shredding anything like that, look for anything that has plastic, okay, the little plastic window. You don't want to use that. But you also, if you get prescriptions that come with like the sticker plastic stuff, you might want to shred that, but that isn't stuff that can really go in your garden. If a little bit gets in there, it's easy to pick out because it's not going to break down, but we do want to try to avoid actual unusable trash ending up in our garden or in our compost. Things that you can shred are things like statements, okay? Credit card statements, bills, things that are totally taken care of. As long as you have what you need for your record keeping, you want to shred that stuff anyway to protect your identity. You can shred junk mail. You can shred letters and notices that you get. You can shred newspaper, okay? Newspaper is another great resource. Here are some things you probably shouldn't shred though. You want to be really careful with things like magazines, okay? I do get Mother Earth news, judge me how you will, I love it. But it has a lot of color. Now this glossy front definitely is not something you want to use. You could maybe use these inner pages, okay? You could maybe use the inner pages, but it has a lot of ink on it. And so I actually don't use this for anything that's going in my garden, for anything that's going in my compost. Now, could you use any of this theoretically for burning or for your pellet stove? Sure, but then again, do you want to be inhaling any of that? So it's just things to think about. You can invest in a super cheap shredder to get started. Ours is actually just an Amazon Basics one that I think was like $12. It doesn't have to be super heavy duty. You don't need to have the functions for destroying credit cards or CDs, okay? You just need to be able to do shredded paper. Then you just take your shreds and you put them to work. This is literally free money coming into your house all the time. It may not be able to totally replace some things in your garden or on your homestead, but it certainly can help you stretch what you're spending your money on. And who doesn't want to recycle and truly reuse and repurpose the things that are coming in? Instead of throwing it away, instead of looking at that junk mail with a little bit of anger, you can see it as a somewhat renewable resource that you can constantly be putting to work for you. It takes just a little bit of time. I know that my boys love playing with the shredder. They love to shred stuff. They feel very powerful. And it only takes about a week to fill up one of these giant 30-gallon trash cans, at least for our house and our family. Comment down below and let me know, do you have any recommendations for ways that you can turn trash into treasure, especially when we're talking about junk mail and shredded paper on the homestead? I'd love for us to pool our thoughts and add more ideas to this video in the comments. Friends, don't forget to like this video and please subscribe to this channel. I am making tons of content to teach you about fear-free emergency preparedness and a sustainable life. And if this was valuable to you, please share it. I am small, but I am growing because of you and because of the ways that you are telling others on social media and in your real life friend groups. And I am so grateful. Truly, I am. You can find me over on Instagram at sustainable_prepping and in our Facebook group. I hope that I will talk to you all very soon, and until the next video, happy prepping.